Well, good day, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Dr. Coach Show. I'm your host, Dr. Coach Danny Pueblos, and today I have my good friend and massage therapist, Luis Hernandez. How you doing today, Luis?
I'm doing good, man. It's a nice, beautiful day out here.
Yeah, man. We finally got some sunshine coming out after the long bout of rain, so I'm glad you're out there enjoying the sunlight.
Yeah, no, it's been hectic these past couple days. I haven't been able to leave the house.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, and you stay on that grind, and you're all over the place, man. You travel all over the country, and no, you're all working with different teams. That's why I wanted to bring you on to share, share your journey with everyone, share your experiences that you've had, because especially recently, you had your office, and now you're like I'm, totally mobile, working with different teams and such like that, right? So. It's pretty awesome to see what you've been doing, man. So it's great to see on my end to see what you've been doing, and I appreciate you and the hustle that you've been having.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
Absolutely,
Excited to share this story of mine.
yeah. It was cool that you and I got together, we connected, and I realized that we grew up in the same area, La Mirada. So it's pretty cool to have that hometown connection.
Yeah, definitely. I think we even went in high school, same time, around the same time, class of '06.
Yeah, I'm '05, so I got a year
There
on
you
you.
go.
But yeah, so small world, man. Especially, I know when people ask about La Mirada, or when I tell people where I'm from, and they're like, "Where's that?" Right? So
Nobody ever knows.
yeah, because it's so small, So it's like, but if you know, you know. It's like one of those
Yeah,
things.
it's like they know all the surrounding cities, but they won't know La
Yeah,
Mirada.
that's why I go to. Like, you ever heard of Whittier or like down? Oh, okay, yeah, okay. That's or I tell them it's like when I have people clients who are from different states. I'm like, Disneyland. Okay, it's like 30 minutes north of that. Like Disneyland
Yeah,
was
I
like
would
the
use Disneyland.
yeah
Or when I'm out of state, I always say LA, and people are like, "Where in
yeah. I know.
LA?" I'm
I
like,
don't even
"Are you ready
bother.
for this one?"
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, man. So speaking of your journey, so can you talk to us about that? Talk to us, kind of what got you started in massage therapy? What motivated you, and kind of take it from there.
So where it really started was I had tried the college route. Went to Fullerton College for a couple years. Did my associate degree in business, and going through that process, just for me, college was not it.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to do something in sports. I just didn't know what it was. And then one day, my cousin, he played football. He pulled a hamstring. So he asked me like, "Hey, can you give me a ride to the chiropractic office?" Gave him a ride down to Huntington Beach, and there they had massage therapists, and they would work with professional athletes. And I talked more with the massage therapist. He told me more about working sports, and ever since that day, I knew that was the job that I wanted to do. Uh, uh, that was like back in 2016.
Hmm.
And so I figured I'm like, you know, it doesn't require a lot of going back to college, so you can just do a massage course.
Yeah.
I found a course in Santa Ana called the American Institute of Massage Therapy, and I completed that program in about, I don't know, somewhere 7 to 9 months.
Yeah.
And from there, since I knew I wanted to do sports, it was still difficult trying to get into sports. And it took me about 3 years to actually really get involved in sports because a lot of it, teams, athletes, they're very high level. So they require more experienced massage therapists. So once I started getting involved with that, I was like, you know what? I really like this. Let's keep going. And that's why I fast forward. Next week will be year 7 in
Wow.
massage. And obviously the past 4 years have been all sports. And that's how I kind of really just got it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad that I figured out that college was not for me. I tried it for a couple years doing the business. I tried looking into accounting, finance, nothing. Like this ain't for me.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I my cousin got injured and we discovered massage.
Shout out to your cousin, because you want to be doing what you're doing without
Yeah.
him.
The other day I saw him and we talked about that. He was like, hey, remember you were like the first person. That was my first appointment. He
Yeah.
took me there and that's how it all started. I'm like, damn, man. That's how it started.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's cool to hear about all the origin stories, from the people who I've had on here, and it just sometimes that's all it takes. It's just one person and one event happening, and to start your trajectory. You
Yeah,
know.
and I like it because it's very unique because the more massage therapists I get to know, a lot of them were like, hey, I was injured. I went through this. I went through this accident. Massage helped me. And I never really had that story of getting injured and using massage. I didn't even discover massage until I was like 22 years old. And I didn't start doing massage until I was like 27. So I'm like, yeah, I was like, I like my story. It doesn't always have to be like it was a calling or it was meant to be or I grew up
Yeah,
to do this. Nah, man, I just found something and just kept putting in that work and still keep grinding it out every day.
yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man. And it's cool that you found your calling there and found what you enjoy doing and being around sports, and that's what I love too about what I do in mental performance is I'm able to help people at the same time like being around athletes, being around people, and among other industries I work with, but most of the time it's athletes and I just because I grew up on sports, so I hear you on that one. Um when you have all these, the past 7 years that you've been in this, what are some different organizations that you've been a part of?
Uh, well, let's go start with the first year. The first year, man, I was so lost. Uh, I was actually working with the city of Brea
Okay.
at their community resource center doing massages. I was like, nah, this ain't it.
Yeah.
Then the 2 years after that, I was at a chiropractic office, and it was a grind there. It was definitely a grind. 9 hours a day, doing 15 to 20-minute massages. It was a lot, and then but that helped me prepare for the sports world because in sports, sometimes they don't have that much time to be doing these sessions. You get about 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. You don't get
Yeah.
that 1 hour, 2 hour that you'll get at home. So then in year three, I started working with got connected with USA Volleyball. Started working with the indoor team, with the women's national and men's national team. And then from there, it went over to the US soccer women's national team. Did a couple camps with them. Uh, then I started transferred over to the beach national team out in Torrance and been with them for the past couple years. See if I can remember all the other teams. The Chargers, the Sparks. Who else? Just recently started working with Angel City
Okay.
these past few weeks. And there's a bunch of other teams that fly into LA that don't have a
Yeah.
massage therapist. And I just reach out to them and they end up booking.
Yeah.
So I've worked with like over, if I recall correctly, like over 30 teams in
Wow.
like the past 4 years.
It's
So I'm
probably
like,
easier to like name the ones you haven't worked with at this point.
probably, yeah, there's a lot out there, but I try not to like focus too much on the name of the teams.
Yeah.
I like going where I can get an opportunity to develop and get better,
Yeah.
show my work out there, connect with people, show them what I can do, show
Sure.
them my strengths, and then to be able to help out some of these athletes, you know.
Absolutely. And so like while you're at these different teams, different organizations, like, are there other, like, for example, like, athletic trainers or physical therapists, kind of working alongside you in the same area, or talk to us about, what that looks like?
There's a certain with certain teams, everybody has massage set up different. Sometimes you get like just like a private room or a semi-private room with all the other massage therapists and the athletes.
Hmm.
And then there's other times where we're all in the same room, the athletic trainer or the PT, um, and then we're all doing treatment in there, especially when they come uh, travel to LA, where they get
Hmm.
in a little conference room in a hotel, and then you gotta you gotta be able to use what you got at that
Yeah.
time, and just the rooms, there are not that many available, so we're all in the same room. They could be set up different. There's also uh yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Those either you get the private, semi-private, or we're all in it together.
Yeah. And are you like talking with them as far as like the trainers? Say you get like an athlete who's like dealing with an injury, right? Like, do you ever talk to like the PTs or ATs, as far as that goes, or you just kind of you get the athlete, you start working on them depending on their needs.
Uh no, you do tend to talk to them about it, or they'll talk to you before, because when the athlete goes through an injury, they're most likely to already see the PT or the
Yeah,
athletic trainer.
yeah,
Um, so usually I tell athletes like I should not be the first person you see for an injury.
hmm,
But in the private world, some of these athletes like, they hide injuries
yeah,
from their
uh-huh,
team staff because having an injury or too many injuries can get you cut.
yeah,
So some of these players they don't want to do that. They're like, I'm on my last straw. I can't afford to let the team know.
yeah,
So they'll try to come to see me, but you know what? An athletic trainer or a physical therapist have better experience in treating your injury than I do. I just do the massage part,
yeah,
and about 99% of the time, I'm just helping athletes get ready for game day or help them recover from game day or training.
yeah,
And if there's something I notice that the athlete doesn't hasn't brought up, then I tell them like, hey, go see the athletic trainer, PT for this, have them check it out, and then we'll see what they say. But I
hmm,
try to stay in my lane
yeah,
because, like I said, they're more experienced than I am on treating injuries. They
yeah,
went they went to years in college. They've been doing that job.
yeah.
Me, I just got a certificate program down the street.
Yeah, but what you don't ever undersell yourself, man, because you're doing a lot of great stuff. A lot, what you do is important, and you're a part of that team, right? And that's what I was curious about, like, that collective, because I know there's different pros who have their different jobs to do, right, to help basically support the athletes. What's what it
Yeah,
comes
yeah,
to, right? And so, so I was curious kind of what that looks like when you're. I know obviously it looks different depending on the situation that you find yourself in, right?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, man. So now, now working with these different, types of sports, um, have you noticed anything that is like unique as far as the type of injury or type of like strain that, certain sports deal with, whether it's like volleyball or basketball, anything like that?
Let me see, like volleyball, basketball, they put a lot of stress on their joints.
Okay.
It's a lot of hardwood floors,
Yeah.
jumping, landing. It's easy to jump, but landing,
Yeah.
that's where they feel it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on the sport, on what you're primarily using. Like volleyball, you get a lot of shoulder stuff because you're swinging. Uh, like I've worked with athletes who do skeleton, and they get a lot of traps and shoulder, neck. That's like their main issue.
Now, what's skeleton?
It's like where you're on that like bobsled track and you're going face down, head first,
Hmm.
hitting like 50 to 70 miles an hour, probably even more.
Oh, got it, got it.
So you should check it out. Winter Winter Olympics are coming up soon.
Yeah.
What is it, 2026, I believe?
Uh-huh.
It's definitely a cool sport to check out. Those guys and girls, they're crazy. To be able to go at those speeds and that ice,
Yeah.
and I don't know how they maneuver and control that on that track.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out, man. Now, when it comes to when you get these athletes or when you're working with them, do any of them ever talk to you about like certain concerns they have about their bodies? Because I know you brought up one, right? You brought up one as far as how they don't want to talk or they don't want to like tell their teams that they're dealing with this injury, right? And
Hmm.
like that resonated with me because, sometimes I get athletes who are in the same boat and they're like, I don't know whether I should tell the trainer or not, right? I don't know if I should tell my coach or not because there's a chance of getting benched, obviously, because because a lot of trainers, right, and a lot of medical personnel, on average, they tend to err on the side of caution, right?
Yeah.
So there's a chance that they might put him out, right? And so, some of these athletes, they're like, I don't want that. Like I have to be there for my team. I have to. I'm a minor league baseball player who's trying to make the cut, right? Who's trying to keep going and not and not get released. All these different situations, and so it's so that's why whenever I'm working with them and talking them through it, is just um, I like to kind of put everything on the table, right, and just say, okay, behind door number one, let's say you do tell them, and let's see what that might look like. All right, door number two, if you don't tell them, what does that look like, right?
Yeah.
And just help them make a well-informed decision for themselves, right? And because obviously both of those have different outcomes, and like better than anyone, where someone continues to play on an injury and they don't treat it, how that can just continue to nag and just kind of just linger, and if not, and potentially get worse, right?
Yeah.
So have you ever had any athletes kind of share anything like concerns, whether it's like that? I know you talked about that, but anything else as far as like their performance goes?
No, I don't really get too many of those.
Okay.
A lot of it, most of the time, a lot of the sessions are pretty quiet.
But yeah, no, I know
Yeah.
when I'm getting a massage, man. Like, don't talk to me. Like, unless I know you, then we'll talk. Like, because you worked on me before and we talked. But yeah, most of the time I'm like, all right, just let me enjoy the massage. So yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah, a lot of the athletes, I mean, they're aware of their bodies and they know they're adults. They know if when they're hiding those injuries, what the consequences could be if they don't get that treated or they don't let their team know. And like I
Yeah,
said, we try to weigh those options like, hey, like if we treat it or you let them know this is what can happen, but you want to be able to treat it.
yeah,
That's how you're gonna make money. They, and these
yeah,
athletes, that's how they make the big bucks.
yeah,
And if when you really think about it, even if you're missing out a few weeks, like it's not that long of a time.
yeah,
It's not that much time compared to the years
yeah,
you've got ahead of you and
yeah,
just the possibilities. But yeah, a lot of the time they know what they're doing. They know the consequences and uh the or what can happen when you do treat it.
yeah. Yeah, it's a tough decision, it's a tough dilemma to be in as far as the athletes go, and especially like when I just get different athletes because I work with athletes all over the country, some in Canada and other places too. So like I'm not working side by side with the coach, so I'm not going to be like, hey coach, they told me this, but so when athletes come to me about that stuff, yeah, we just kind of like talk it through, right? And um, kind of look at the different doors to go behind, right, and see what that looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
as someone who's had injuries in the past, I know that feeling, and say that someone decides to tell their coach, tell the trainer that they're dealing with this, and they get put out. There's other mental and emotional issues that that's where I come in to help them with, right? And as far as dealing, with like concerns about can I be the same athlete again? Like, am I going to be able to come back the same way? And especially like you look at some injuries where it requires surgery, right? It requires some
uh,
sort of procedure, and even more so, scary, for some of these athletes. So, yeah, obviously the severity of the injury, matters too. Because when you have an athlete who's out like a week or two versus an athlete who like tears their ACL or like or something significant like that, it's different, and every athlete's different as well. Because some athletes are able to kind of transition from that initial like oh shit, like I got hurt and like oh my God, like kind of like dealing with that blow. Obviously, again, the severity matters, but um, some take a little bit and they just like they kind of fall into this hole and into their shell, just kind of like damn, and the whole plan of like, all right, I'm gonna get ready for training camp, I'm gonna get ready for season, whatever. It's changed now, right?
Uh,
So that's where you and the other, athletic training staff come in to kind of help them with that, right? And
yeah.
'cause some of them are motivated, right? Some of them are very motivated. Like they're able to like mentally transition from, all right, I got hurt. Now I gotta help. I gotta start the rehab and recovery part, where that's where working with their doctors, the trainers, massage therapists, right? With the whole team comes into play, and they're like gung ho about it, right? Versus
Yeah.
some who are just like, they kind of again they go into their shell and they don't really attack therapy and rehab, and recovery the same way. So I know I definitely see differences when it comes to that stuff. So I'm sure those people that you're working on, whether they tell you or not, who are like deep down, they're like they're going through stuff.
Oh, dude, they are, especially if those athletes who are going injury after injury, just trying to get out there, something else comes up. Like some of these athletes, they stay on that treatment table.
Yeah,
And I was like, dude, I could just imagine what you're going through mentally. Like,
yeah,
this is crazy because I know they all want to be out there
yeah,
uh, hustling and grinding but at this level, you put your body through, you exceed your limits and you start putting your body through all this stuff and going through these injuries. And I can just imagine, especially with track athletes, where they're just, especially the sprinters, going at
uh,
full speed and tearing those hamstrings. Gosh, man, they be having those wheelchairs ready.
yeah,
But even like through the like those first 10, 15 minutes, or man, they're just in tears and just going through it. I can just imagine, like, damn, I've been training this whole time, these past few years.
yeah,
This was my moment, and bam,
yeah,
halfway through the race, just lost it.
yeah. Yeah, and it's even more so. I mean, 'cause it's one thing if you get hurt like in the off season or like preseason where you're training stuff, like that's bad, but it's tough, especially if you're like on the biggest stage, right? Like, you worked with Olympians, right? So like, even just getting ready for the games or even at the games, right? The world's biggest stage and all of a sudden they get hurt. It's like that dream, right? That dream that,
Uh,
or go getting ready to, you're on a team and you're going into the playoffs and you get hurt and you're like that dream of making it to the championship and being a part of that, is gone for some people.
uh,
So
no, it is.
so yeah, man, that's where, in what I do in mental performance, the whole injury. So there's like a three-part process, right? There's the initial onset of the injury, there's the rehab and recovery, and then return to play, right? So like that
Mhm.
kind of three-part, it's different for everyone, right? And how they approach that. But it's something that is big in what I help athletes with, as well as my colleagues, because yeah, it's a whole mental game and just to go and helping them through the emotions of everything and because there is a lot of doubt of like, can I be the same person, even when they get cleared, right? Like they've worked with
Uh,
training staff, they work, they get cleared by their doctors, they're getting worked on by you, and it's still like they go out there and they're still like, I don't know if I want to make that cut, like a running back in
yeah,
football, right? Say they tear their knee and they come back, they're cleared now, but like, maybe
kind of like traumatized.
yeah, they
Mhm.
traumatized, they're like afraid to, because maybe they tore their knee or they were straining their knee when they made a cut, right? And all of a sudden they don't want to make that cut anymore because of what happened before, right?
Uh,
So like that's where we come in as a mental performance coaches to help them with that and taking baby. Sometimes those baby steps are needed, right? Um,
uh,
and that's where again, that's what it takes a village, as they say, So like I work on the mental game. You work with with their mental, with their body. Other trainers are working with their body, in different ways, and hopefully they're ready to go. And so, but that it is a whole thing where. Um, I know growing up when I had old school coaches, especially over at Lamar High School, and it's like no one asked about like, hey, how you doing? Like when I broke my ankle, like my freshman year of football, I was out. I was kind of on my own. No one asked, hey, how you doing? And because I was out there like, man, I want to be with my teammates, and I fell down because I'm like, shit, like what am I doing, like and so even though I knew I couldn't be out there, um, it's just you're still going through it, so.
Uh,
You feel like I'm letting my team down, right? Which is a very, very common thing, even when
yeah,
I'm talking with my athletes. Um, so that's where again it does take a village, right, to be able to support these athletes at every level, right? I mean, every level. And you and I both have worked with elite athletes, um, and they go through it too, right? Like they're going through stuff, and they're dealing with certain things. So that's where again trusting us as the professionals to help get them there is a big part of it, right? In addition to
yeah.
trusting in like what they're doing too. No. So like, I know you've been on the hustle, you've been on the grind, which I truly appreciate, brother, and
Thank you.
so yeah, no problem. And so what does that look like, right? So, if someone wanted to basically kind of do what you do and get the experience that you've been able to get, what are some things that you've done or you recommend people doing as far as, doing that?
So one of the big things I would say, learning the fundamentals
Hmm.
of, I guess more on the sports massage side, and just sticking to those basics and just put in the reps. Just continue to do it. That's all it is, just repetition. And hey, sometimes it's one of those, the more you do it, the better you get at it. You want to apply the right techniques, have the right pressure, and at the same time, you also want to have like a good personality
Yeah.
to chat with these athletes. You don't want to be like a creep
Yeah.
because then they won't go with you even if you've got some good hands.
Yeah.
Uh, but I've learned a lot, especially on the mental side,
Hmm.
because it's not going to be an easy road. You're
Yeah.
learning a new skill set, and there's not that many opportunities for beginners in sports. So you got to find a way to get those reps in somewhere, and you just
Yeah.
got to be mentally ready, put yourself in the right mindset. You're going to go through the ups and downs, but what's most important is when you hit those plateaus and nothing's happening, you got to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, every day. The one thing I like about this job is every day I get to just pound that rock, no matter what happens, man.
Yeah.
Just keep it going. So that's it with the fundamentals. Another thing, want to network. You
Hmm.
can you can be the best massage therapist out there, but if people don't know who you are,
Yeah.
then that's just what it is. Like people don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So you want to get out there and find the people that can help you out or need some help and have access to those athletes and give you those opportunities. A lot of it, ways to find those people. I mean, you got LinkedIn, Instagram, and sometimes you just ask people like, "Hey, can I tap into your network?
Yeah.
Looking for these opportunities with these teams. Would you happen to know anybody in that area?"
Yeah.
Or also, don't be afraid to volunteer. Also,
Hmm.
there's a lot of opportunities out there that aren't even going to pay,
Hmm.
but you know what? You'll meet people out there who don't feel uh, like they're too good for it. Like there's going to be a lot of people out there, the right trainers that you're going to connect with that are at these volunteer events. So that'll be a good way to connect. Let me see the basic fundamentals, networking, having the right mindset, and man, I don't know what else. That's kind of like the two main things.
Yeah.
And I think as you go, you start learning your strengths and your weaknesses, and you start tweaking things. Uh, so yeah, just a lot of that, and just keep going. Just
Yeah.
if this is something you want to do, keep it going. I guess the other thing too, when I say stick to the fundamentals, we're in a world where there's a lot of cupping, scraping, all these tools and gadgets. I stay away from that because the more the more time I spend on that, the less time I'm spending on my hands and
Yeah.
on that flow, and I'm not putting in those reps.
Yeah.
So I'm big on that. The other thing too, this is a lot of a mistake that a lot of massage therapists make. They graduate from massage school and they go and open their own business.
Hmm.
Now, the thing is, when you graduate from massage school, you've got some basic stuff, but you haven't put in the reps yet.
Hmm.
You go to open up a business, now you're having to learn a whole new skill set. So now it's like, all right, do I work on my massage skill set or do I work on my business skill set? And this is one of those where you're going to get better at what you focus on more.
Yeah.
So, with your first few years, don't be afraid to work for somebody else. Work at a chiropractic office. That's what I did for the first couple of years. We did those 15, 20-minute sessions, transition over to sports. It's gonna suck. Shit.
Yeah.
My last chiropractic job was making $16 an hour, man, during the
Part of the
pandemic,
grind,
man.
huh? It's part of that grind, huh? Dang.
And I left because I was like, you know what? I could go do one massage or two massage and don't have to keep working that much.
Yeah.
So, but now it's just like, I close up that office because now I'm out here working more,
Yeah.
seeking opportunities and just try to take any opportunity you can get. I guess that's the other one too. Any opportunity that comes your way, take it.
Yeah.
So, because we have no control over who we work with, and whatever opportunity, take it. That way, if something else opens up and it's not the right one, at least you already have something going on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm hearing like knowing the fundamentals, working on your craft, right? Which, by the way, everything you just said, I think applies for most people, right?
Oh yeah.
Like as you're talking, I'm like, yeah, that's what I tell my mentee. That's what I tell people who talk to me. Like continue to work on your craft, right? Um, and just to sharpen what you're doing. If there's anything you feel could need to add on, okay, you could do that. But at the very least, like especially with it sounds like in massage therapy, like your hands are the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Um, and then yeah, I mean, I'm gonna double and triple stamp that networking part, right? And like that is huge because like that, and even just like you mentioned the last one as far as taking opportunities is I can't stress those two enough, and they're linked, and a lot of times where um sometimes people I've seen this even in my field where early practitioners it's like they're so timid, right, to like reach out, or they're afraid of rejection, or they're afraid if someone's going to say no or whatever, right? And it's like you can't. It's almost like a sales position, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to put yourself out there, and you're gonna get people who ghost you. You're gonna get people who say
Oh man.
no, right? Like you have to have tough skin. You have to have
Yeah.
resilience to bounce back and say, hey, there's other opportunities out there. There's other people to now work with, right? There's a ton of people out there,
Oh
and
yeah.
some people feel like like if I just sit here and wait for people to come, that I'm gonna get my experience. Like no, you have to put on the work. You have to put on the work. You have to put yourself out there, network, go into these events, right? And I'm talking just from my field, which it sounds just very similar to yours, right? Because um, like I know, like for us, we have like networking events, right? Like or like conferences, like go to these things, talk to people,
Yeah.
build your network, and even for if you're someone like you, right? Like because I know you, Brian. That's why again, I appreciate you, and that's why I wanted to bring you on because I appreciate people who put in the work to show whoever's watching this right now, like, hey, that's a part of it, right? Like the
Yes, it is.
experiences you've had, experiences that I had, didn't come out of thin air, right? We just didn't sit on our hands and just poop. It just popped right into our hands, right? It, it,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way, and so you kind of have to get out of your shell and get out of the comfort zone, right? And put yourself out there and network and talk to people, right? You even just like the last person or one of the last, yeah, one of the last two, I can't remember which one. Um, I had on the show, right? Carlos Royale, I connected with him through you, right? Um,
Yeah.
And so again, there was Instagram, I think it was. So
Uh,
again, just networking, right? And using those platforms, right? Using Instagram, using LinkedIn, those kind of things to talk to people. And in addition, because and that's easy, right? Because you can do it from your bed.
oh yeah.
And just talking to people, right? In addition to, obviously being on the field and getting those reps and, just and making those connections. Because once you do that, that's when doors start to open up. They start to open up. And, I can't tell you how many times most opportunities I've had in my career are because, obviously, I had to have the certain credentials to work and, do what I do. But, um, it's just from me being active on LinkedIn or, posting videos or doing certain things. And hey, I saw what you're doing. Like, hey, let's talk about this position, right? Or I have this opportunity. I want you to work with athletes, right? Or, with my team or whatever, right? Like that's how this stuff works. And you mentioned, not being afraid to do stuff for free, right? Because some people feel like I'd have to get paid like every single time, right? And that's their choice. That's your choice
No.
if you decide, right? It's your thing. I'm not going to tell you how to work your money, right? Um, but understand, and again, I'm gonna double stamp what you said as well, as far as, not being afraid to do those because, you know, it's like worst case scenario, it's more experience for you, right?
Oh, it is.
Worst case.
Yeah.
Best case scenario, you get the experience, plus you get to meet people, you get to network, you get to connect, and and all of a sudden, right? What happens? All of a sudden, you get referrals sometimes, right? Oh, like you worked on that person. Oh, can I need someone to work with my team, or can you work on me, right? Like that's how this stuff works, right? So that's why even
Hmm.
I talk to people in my industry, especially early practitioners, the ones who are just getting or fresh out of grad school or just getting certified. I tell them you can't be afraid to do that because that's I've given many talks. I've been invited to many talks, and a good amount of those were free, especially early in my career because
Yeah.
I'll just try to get my get my feet wet and get my experience in. And you'd be surprised how many of those talks or helping athletes for free or highly discounted
Oh, yeah.
turned out to be turned out to work out and to expand my network, expand my clientele, or just again worst case my experience, whether I got like a paid client out of it or not, right? It's just one of those things that you have to put in the work.
Yeah. I know that we're talking about volunteer. That's how it kind of really started. I volunteered for the Manhattan Beach Open back in 2019. From there, the person who was running that show, uh, she had connections to USA Volleyball and asked me like, "Hey, would you be interested in working with the national team?" Sure. Uh, that was early 2020. Things happened with COVID, so it delayed it another year.
Yeah.
But even just that, working with the indoor team, then from there I went to US Soccer, and then I went to beach national team, and then fast forward through that beach national team connection, I was able to get the Chargers contract as a contractor, and hey, that's where it went. But the whole time in between working with beach volleyball and the Chargers, dude, I stayed patient, and by patient, I just kept hustling.
Mhm.
And that was it. And I waited for that opportunity because you never know when you're going to get that text message, that phone
Yeah.
call of, hey, we're looking for so and so. A lot of it is luck, man.
Yeah.
Whether it's bad luck, good luck, you just hope that it falls on your side.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up with the Chargers. And then from there, you start having private clients from the
Yeah.
team that want to see you outside the facility. So that's why I tell people, like, hey, we can't control who we work with. We just got to take the opportunity we can get. And then to go back to the rejection part, gosh, man, I've been rejected so many times and nothing personal. It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
No.
there's not an opportunity there.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
And hey, also just connect with a lot of people out of state. But what
Hmm.
people don't realize is like people out of state, there's 49 other states out there.
Yeah.
I don't want to be just tied up to LA.
Uh-huh.
Like people travel to LA to play sports. People move around from one team to another team, state to state. You just never know. when that person's going to be in your local area and need help and want to bring you in and work on their team or their athletes.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for clarifying, or like this, reinforcing my point as far as, not being afraid of that rejection. Because, yeah, that's coming. It's coming. And because,
It's
yeah,
going to
so many
happen.
people, it's going to happen. Right? But you have to have that tough
The
skin,
mindset.
mentioned, yeah, the mentality. And just to like keep looking under different rocks, see what's underneath there. Okay, nothing there. Okay, I keep going, right? And just look behind those doors, right? Look behind the door. Is there anything there? All right. So because sometimes people, right, they try to open that door and it's locked, right? It's like, oh, and they give up. It's like, oh, okay, that's it. No, you got to
Uh,
keep opening those doors, see what's behind us, and reach out. And sometimes, right, you'll open that door and someone says, no, right, I don't want you. Okay, next one, next door. Okay, and you have to keep going. You have to keep persevering. And that's how the stuff works. And I know you wouldn't be able to have done, work with the different teams, and like you have, if you didn't have that perseverance and the tough skin to keep going, and despite, being shut down. Because I know I have many times in the past. So, I know what that feels like. And yeah, it can be tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough, especially at first, right? You're like, oh, because what happens for a lot of people, I know what happened to me is you get this thing called imposter syndrome, right? Where now
uh,
it's like people you're not getting the opportunity, especially early in one's career, and you start doubting yourself sometimes, right? So it doesn't happen to everyone, but it definitely does happen to people, and you start doubting yourself, like, is this what I should be doing, right? Like,
mhm.
should I go to my safe place and
Yeah,
go to college and get a degree and work in finance or do one of these, right? Where I know I could get the stable career, instead of doing what I love, right? And so that's where we have to remind ourselves, like, why are we doing this, right? Who are we doing it for? Like, what deep down, like, what's our why, right? And and uh and to keep going, have that perseverance, have and to keep your eyes on your whys, right? As to why you're doing
yeah,
it. And eventually those are it's going to help kind of push you through all those rejections, all the times people ghost you, right? And next thing you know, like, you're doing what you love and you're getting paid for it.
yeah,
That's a dream, right? I
yeah,
mean, just like like, you can be able to make money, and you're like, hey, I enjoy this stuff, right? Like, I can't tell how many times, like, it's a long time coming, from all the work I put in, and all the schooling I've had over the years. But how many times whether I get done with a client or working with a team, I walk away and I'm like, man, I can't believe I get paid for this stuff. You know?
yeah. No, that's a good feeling, man. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, but it
But
didn't happen overnight. Just like
nah,
you've gone through your grind, I've gone through my grind, and so many other people as well. It takes work, it takes a lot of sacrifice, dedication. Like,
dude.
that. I mean, you talk about how you barely have days off, right?
Yeah.
Be able to sacrifice that, sacrifice your weekends a lot of times, right? Or
Oh man.
instead of just being at home, or instead of going to the beach or whatever, you're maybe you're at the beach working with volleyball. But other than that, like, you're putting in the work, right? But at the same time, you're enjoying what you're doing too. So it's a great thing.
Yeah. The other thing too I wanted to add is like you like all this whole process, man. You gotta fall in love with the process, man.
Hmm.
You can't you gotta be able to control what you can control and
Hmm.
just keep grinding it out, man. Because if you start looking into the stuff where you can control, there's so much out there. That stuff's gonna tear you apart if you
Yeah,
try to focus on that.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And that's the controlling the controllable is something I'm always working with my clients with. It's so important. It's so true though. Just in life, athletes, non-athletes, just life in general, right? Because a lot of stuff that's gonna happen to us that's outside of our control. We can't focus on that because we have, like, what's the point? Like, why are we gonna get mad or pissed off or upset because of that? It's like, focus on what we can control or even who we can control, because sometimes we get so caught up in, like, being upset or worried or angry about someone who did something or said something, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do, right? Like someone rejects us, who someone doesn't want us to work with their team. Like, all right,
Move on to the
all right,
next one.
on to the next one.
And at the same time, don't be afraid to come back and knock on that door a year from
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
Because I'll tell you something, man. I tried working with Angel City for the past, what, 2, 3 seasons. Finally, finally happened, man.
Yeah.
But each year, like I said, people move. You get new
Yeah.
trainers,
Yeah.
new staff, and you try to build those connections with them and see maybe if they want to change things around in the team, bring in new people.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll shoot my shot. If I miss, then I miss. I'll
Yeah.
hey, all right, good luck, man. I'll see you next year.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that, man. I love that because it's very easy to like to look, even though you keep moving on, right? Sometimes people don't go back to that door that was closed at one
Yeah.
point. You go back, all of a sudden that door opens up a little bit, just a little crease.
Oh yeah.
That's all it
Yeah.
takes.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, like you said, it could be a new coaching staff, it could be new management, or sometimes the timing is not right at the time. Right. It's just
Yeah.
we're not looking right now. All of a sudden, a year, 2 years go by, and next thing you know, we're like, hey, let's talk now.
Yeah.
So that's a part of the perseverance of being able to like swallow like the whole thing about what happened before and just say, all right, like let's talk now, right? Um,
Oh,
so I love that. I love that because that's where having that ability to persevere and again just be able to show them, right? Because I know for me, if I had someone who came up and said, "Hey, we had talked before, and I want to revisit this and see if there's anything there," like, "Hey, I respect that. I respect that."
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I've had teams where I've reached out. Hey, no, right now we're good. We're bringing somebody on for the season. But
yeah,
if anything changes, we'll reach out a month later. Hey, can we still book you for when we come to LA?
yeah,
Sure. And things happen.
yeah,
Sometimes they just hire somebody who's not the right fit, or they just can't make that trip, or just can't be there. And you just got to be ready for it.
yeah,
Be ready for that opportunity. I know a lot of people, they want to work in sports, but sometimes they just don't even put they don't put the work in.
yeah.
You just got to be ready for it.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes I know. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but sometimes it might mean, doing work for like non-athletes just to get the work in, just to get the
Yeah,
experience. Like I know like when I'm working with my mentees or talking to people who are trying to because I get asked a lot of times where about advice for career stuff right in the field, um, and tell them get the experience where you can, right? Like you're not going to be working in the NFL tomorrow, okay? Like if you're just starting out. So, or your chances of you doing that are not very high. I'll say net almost,
yeah,
but, because but you have to get that, especially where someone has no experience, they're completely green. So you have to get your experience where you can. Like go around the youth leagues, right? Start with high schools and then work your way up and just start getting it comfortable because you can't just work with like an elite athlete because they're gonna know you don't know what the heck you're doing, right? And
correct. Oh, and I hear the stories. I hear the
yeah,
stories, man.
yeah. So you're not if you're not ready, that's okay. Everyone starts somewhere, right? Everyone
Yeah,
everyone starts somewhere, and so getting those reps like you talked about, right? Getting that experience and starting to and just harness, your craft and just work on your craft, sharpen your craft, add skills when necessary. Always have the student mentality, always trying to learn and get better and grow and see like how can I be better at my craft. Um, while also building upon the foundation I've built over the years. And that's what's gonna get you to where you want to be. But it takes that patience, which a lot of people these days don't have. Right, a lot of especially younger ones out there. If you're listening, have to have patience. Okay, it's not some Amazon Prime where it's like come in 2 days. Okay, like you have to have the patience. You have to put in the work, patience, put in the work, and perseverance. These things are foundational. You have to have, because it's not, you're not gonna just all right. Now I graduated from grad school, and now all right, now I could do whatever I want to have and make millions of dollars. No, like you have to start. You have to build your way to that, and
yeah.
and you talked about luck, right? Yeah, big part of it's luck, but I believe you have to make your own luck, right?
Oh yeah,
It's not complete luck to me is like just sitting on your hands at home and waiting for someone to call you. Okay. Like
yeah,
99% of the time, it's not how it happens. Okay. Like luck means, all right, you're working, you're putting in the work. Like you, for example, you're working with the Chargers. They're calling someone else. Hey, I need you over here with the Sparks or whatever in Angel City. And like that stuff happens because you put in the work, right? All of a sudden, people get to know you, get to know your work, right?
yeah,
People talk, and all of a sudden referrals start happening, right? And again, so like, yeah. it's luck because I know people who work in certain jobs, even in my industry, have certain jobs in like even pro sports and like in where it's like right place, right time. But they
Hmm.
had to have been in that place in the beginning to have that luck, right? So it's not just pure luck where it just you just sit on your hands and hopefully this genie pops up and says, "Oh,
Yeah.
I I have three wishes. What do you want?" So, no, it's you have to put in the work, put in the time, and have that tough skin and to keep going.
Oh, for sure, man. How many times, like I said, luck, man. I've gotten lucky so many times. Just being a part of the right network,
Yeah,
being in the right room, having the right conversation with somebody,
yeah,
because you never know where it's going to lead to.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, hey man, you gave us a lot of good stuff today. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your journey, sharing your expertise, and I just love talking, even just like the career stuff, right? Because I think just what you and I have been talking about, this past segment was can apply to many people,
Yeah,
not just our industries, but just across the board, right? And if you're listening, whatever career you get into, you're right, whatever you're into, a lot of these rules apply, right? A lot of
oh,
these
for
rules
sure.
apply.
It almost feels like we didn't even talk about massage. And that's what it
Yeah,
is. That's what it is, you know.
yeah,
It's those skills that the non-massage skills. If you want to become a better massage therapist, it ain't just gonna be massage skills.
yeah,
You gotta have the right mindset. Like that's something I've worked on since like 2015, 2016. Just mental health, having
yeah,
just the self reading some self-help books, putting myself in the right mindset for all these opportunities.
yeah,
And that's why I'm able to keep going. That's why I could sit there and just pound that stone all day, every day, whether
yeah,
something happens or nothing happens.
yeah.
And that's why I can go through that and opportunity comes. All right, let's do it. If it doesn't, I'll keep going, keep going.
There
That's
you
why I
go.
just fall in love with the process. It's not about the name of the team, the name of the athlete, or how much their contract is. If it's the right opportunity that can help me develop into a better massage therapist, then we'll do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So keep pounding that rock, brother. I look forward to seeing what you have in store. Because I know every time I look at what you're doing, man. Oh, he's doing that now. Awesome, man. Like, yeah, I love seeing people around me win, man. I love seeing people eat. I'm like, hey, you eat because there's too many haters out there, man. Too many haters who just hate on people. I'm like, hey, I'm all about love, man. I'm all about seeing you people eat and doing doing big things like that. So keep going, man.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. So, well, again, thank you to my guest, massage therapist Luis Hernandez, and thank you for watching. If you like what you saw today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to take care of yourselves and each other. Okay, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you.
All right, see ya.